Hi, welcome to the FilmCrop channel. Today I'm going to explain about the 2009 action drama film called Merantau. Please support me with a like and a comment. That way you can help the channel grow. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. According to ancient tradition, every boy must one day leave his family in order to have a wandering experience of life. This wandering is a test on the road to adulthood, which is called Merantau. A young boy named Yuta trains in preparation for the Merantau and then goes home for dinner. It is his last day at home. They eat dinner as a family and look at each other, mentally saying goodbye. At night, the mother tries to dissuade her son from making the journey, but he is adamant, and she can do nothing but wish him luck. Under the cover of night, Yuta fights his teacher, alternating every possible technique, but sensing the strength in Yuta, stops the young man and tells him that he is ready. In the morning, his mother escorts him away and gives him his father's thing. She cannot hold back her tears and says she is very proud of her son. Yuta leaves his home. Now there is only him and the road ahead. Yuta gets on the bus and a guy notices him. At night, he sits down next to him, smokes a cigarette, and talks about his life in Jakarta. He says that the young man reminds him of himself in his youth and that the Harimau Silat technique alone is not enough to fit into this life in Jakarta. He suggests that the boy make his living in a different way, saying that reality is much more complicated and not quite the way they were taught at school. In short, he tries to shield him from his own mistakes. They arrive in Jakarta and say goodbye. Yuta goes to the address written down on paper, but that house turns out to be destroyed. The telephone numbers are also unavailable. Where should he go? Who is he? He is just a little man in this big city who doesn't understand how everything works. He notices a construction site across the street and workers leaving. Yuta sneaks into the construction site, climbs into a concrete pipe and lies down to sleep. In the afternoon he goes to a cafe, where he is greeted by a friendly man and Yuta orders his own food. He chats with the man while the little boy tries his best to steal his own food. When Yuta gets distracted and is about to pay the man, he notices that his wallet has been stolen by the little boy and goes after him. After catching up with the little thief, Yuta notices the boy's sister being attacked by the angry man. He has taken all her hard-earned money, but Yuta intercepts his arm and makes the villain give the poor girl her money back. The man says that Yuta does not know who he is messing with, but the man does not listen to him and deprives the girl of her job. She swears at Yuta for leaving her without a job, completely forgetting about her own dignity, which the man seems to have completely destroyed. He goes to the construction site at night again, climbs down the chimney and pulls out his father's medallion. What is it, this real world so unlike his home village? Meanwhile, the girls are being cast, scrutinizing them. The boss tells Johnny that he has brought in 4 girls instead of 5 and asks him to bring in 1 more. It's the little thief's sister and Johnny orders her to be brought to them, or he himself will be in serious trouble. The girl arrives at her friend's house, but learns that she has already been taken, and Johnny is waiting behind her to take the girl to her boss. Yuta goes to the phone and calls his mother. He has already missed her. The mother says they're fine, but Yuta has to lie that he's fine, too. Johnny's car stops in front of a phone booth. He pulls the poor girl out of the trunk and takes her to her boss, but she kicks him in the groin. Johnny punches her in the face back and the girl falls to the ground. Yuta sees this and has to hang up and go to her. He gives her a hand and helps her up. Johnny orders the guys to deal with Yuta, but he starts to deal with them himself, though the bandits take the quantity and Yuta ends up on the floor. Johnny finishes him off and he is completely lost in space, but a minute later he finds the strength to get up. His eyes are blurry and his arms and legs aren't working properly, but he walks to the door to save the girl. Yuta finally comes to his senses and sees Johnny beating Astri. He walks around the club and notices a man who is clearly not happy with him. A fight breaks out and he immediately puts the 2 of them down, but then backup arrives, but Yuta reprisals them as well. Meanwhile, Johnny brings Astri to the boss. He goes to examine the girl, already imagining how she will be stripping at his club. The boss is angry at Johnny for hitting the girl and leaving a bruise on her face. Yuta bursts into the room and takes the poor girl with him. A minute later, they are outside and a bloodied Rather rises from the floor and reprimands Johnny for what happened. Rather unhinged, Rather wants only one thing, the death of Yuta, who dared to ruin his face. The boy Adit keeps asking for money on the street. Astri and Yuta immediately run after him, but they are a little too late. Johnny's men steal the child before their eyes. Yuta catches up with the bandit, but backup comes to him with iron sticks. The boy uses their own weapons and fights off the villains. Yuta takes Astra and Adit to the same construction site to sleep. It turns out that their parents had many children and because of this they packed up and left, leaving only Astra and Adit. The girl still can't understand why that happened. Yuta talks about his brother, with whom he always competed, but lost more often because he was younger. Yuta grew up and got stronger, and his brother got smarter, and now, His brother has become what Yuta would like to be. The girl dines and Yuta leaves her alone, moving to the next pipe. Racker is furious, he doesn't even hear the words of his friend, who tries to calm him down and smashes a glass over his head. He needs to kill Yuta, by any means necessary. Johnny brings men to him who are instructed to kill Yuta, but he does not want to see them and says he will kill Johnny too if he ever comes to him for nothing again. Yuta helps the girl steal the money hidden in the house under the carpet, but everything is carefully guarded by Johnny's men. Yuta enters the house and takes the money under the carpet while one of the men urinates in the bathroom, but he still fails to get away with it and is discovered. Some woman from the balcony shouts and shows the bandits where Astri and Adit are. The girl hides the boy in a quiet place, although he is very afraid and resists. He is very afraid of being left without his sister, the only person he has left, and just as Astri runs away from the boy, the bandits hit her on the head and she faints in front of Adit. Meanwhile, Yuta's pursuit moves to the roof of the buildings, which he jumps over with extraordinary dexterity and fearlessness, leaving the bandits somewhere on the ground below. They come at him like cockroaches, armed to the teeth, but it's nothing compared to Yuta's strength of spirit. But a motorcyclist with a club arrives on the battlefield and chases Yuta. Their forces are clearly unequal. Yuta catches up with the man on the street, stretches his towel and pulls a stunt and leaves the motorcyclist on the floor. After the fight, he notices that Astri has disappeared somewhere and finds Adit. The boy tells him everything that happened and Yuta once again sets out to save the poor girl. He promises the boy that this is the last time he will have to leave him alone. Yuta runs into the building where Johnny is sitting, beats everyone in a minute, and beats the right information out of Johnny. He doesn't yet realize that all of this is bait, part of a trap to catch Yuta. But he doesn't care, he has to save the girl, no matter what. He climbs the floors of a skyscraper filled with hordes of scoundrels and throws them into walls, glass tables, and takes advantage of everything he can get his hands on. Rathir has already managed to abuse the unfortunate Astri. Rutger's men tell him that Yuta has come into the building, but the boss has no intention of going anywhere. He wants to watch Yuta, believing that he will lose. Astri notices a dead girl not far from her bed. Yuta calls the elevator, but it stops halfway through. It's Eric, one of Rutger's men, and also the same bus passenger that Yuta met at the beginning of his journey. He enters the elevator and stands next to the guy. After a little dialogue, a fight breaks out right in the elevator. Both Eric and Yuta are two powerful fighters, exchanging blows at lightning speed, but Yuta proves stronger. When he gets a chance to finish off the defeated Eric, he doesn't take it and leaves him sitting on the floor while the elevator rises to the top floor, where the main fight awaits him. As the elevator doors open, bullets from the bandits' guns start flying into Eric's body, one by one and so on until he is a living sieve. Yuta's cunning worked, and Eric's tangled path finally ended. Yuta somehow manages to catch up with Rattler and grabs his car, which brings him to the place where Rattler keeps his live goods, the other girls. Yuta no longer intends to hide in the shadows and goes out to fight Rutger and his men. The boss sends a horde of his men to fight Yuta and he fights off the scoundrels while maintaining his pace, but they keep coming and then Yuta has to resort to a little trickery and jump on the containers. Unfortunately for him, it was just a warm-up. Now it's Rather and Luke. The two of them attack together, knocking Yuta down, but he still manages to throw some punches. At one point, something special awakens in him, like some kind of special focus, like meditating on reality. He sees his opponent's fists, feels their breath, thinks about every movement, and attacks. His attacks are surprisingly powerful, and the pair become his battering pads. After the fight, everyone lies on the floor to catch their breath and then Luke and Rattler go for the sly and nasty move of taking iron clubs, but Yuta doesn't let up and disarms the guys, but they prove even more cunning and hit the guy with the door from the container. At the same time, Yuta hits Luke with the door himself and the iron pipe sinks into his body. Racker sees this and goes into a mad rage. He grabs Yuta and pins his throat against the container while the girls in the container sound the alarm. Yuta is already losing his mind and his strength, when suddenly one word from Astri changes everything. The girl says quietly, "Help." This reaches Yuta, and he finds the strength to knock Rattler out. He falls to the floor and the guy goes to the container and frees all the girls. They don't tell him anything and run away in silence, but their Astri sits on the floor, crying, and at the same time happy that Yuta saved her, but suddenly Rather appears from behind and thrusts a sharp rod into Yuta. The boy fights back and finishes off the villain, but bleeds heavily himself. He lies on the floor and prepares to die in the arms of the girl. He has but one request, to bring his father's pendant back home. The girl asks him not to give up, she is not ready to lose the young man. He asks to tell his family what he has done for her. Astri is sure he will still survive and asks not to say such tragic words. She must go to his family, where she will be welcomed as her own. And so, Yuta's eyes roll back and his pulse fades. The world has lost this selfless and fearless hero, who only wanted to save one girl's life, but also saved many other lives. His Merantau is over. Astri comes for little Adit, who has been sitting and hiding all this time. She cries as she looks at the boy, for she is glad that she can see him again, even though it has cost her a lot. After those events, Astri actually went to Yuta's house, where she was welcomed as if she were her own family. She takes care of the beds with Yuta's brother. Adit goes to school and Yuta's mother sees him off. He turns around and looks at the woman, just as Yuta looked at her last time. The woman can barely hold back her tears and walks the boy to school. Maybe the boy will spend his life as Yuta would have wanted it for himself. But Yuta did not find a peaceful life for himself. There was too much injustice in it, too hard a reality.